Okay, here's a follow-up on my braze repair in this wheel well of this 1994 MK3 Volkswagen Golf. Very rusty it was. All this was gone, so I fabricated this panel out of thickish sheet metal, 16 gauge I think, about an 1/8 inch thickness more or less. I ran out of the 18 gauge, which is thinner, easier to work with, but we'll see how this works. I also ran out of the Stargon gas for the MIG welder, so I decided to try brazing with bronze with my magnegas 2 torch. And I didn't have too much brazing rod either, but I managed to get this done. There's a little hole here. That could use more brazing. That over there. A couple little holes in here. But it's very solid, you know. And I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to, because this car, you know, isn't really worth it. But, you know, it keeps going, so I'm going to seal it with this Penetrol, which is cheap. It's like 10 bucks a pint, and it's very thin, so it goes a long way. This is used for thinning out paints, adding to paints, so they brush more smoothly, but I've read it's also good for priming metal and keeping rust at bay, because it stops the oxidation with its penetrating quality, whatever. It seems pretty cool. This is what it's actually a really good product for bringing back rubber trim on cars and bringing back paint on cars. If the paint's chalky, just apply that with a brush and sort of like waxing a car. You let it sit 5 minutes or so, and then you buff it off with a rag, clean rag. The other cool thing I've discovered, using this heavy-duty drill with the wire wheel, and this is really good for cleaning metal and making it nice and shiny. I want to get into some artwork with the magnegas, brazing and metal fabrication and stuff like that, and it's nice to be able to shine up the work. With the brazing, you also want to get rid of all of the flux and any nastiness, because that can cause corrosion down the road, and that's why I went crazy with the wire wheel. There might be better wire wheels out there too, because it didn't totally get everything, but you know, whatever. I'm just gonna penetrol this, let it dry. It takes maybe 6-7 hours to dry. Maybe do a few coats, and then I'm gonna use some seam sealer and a caulk gun just to fill in these holes. Maybe I'll just glue a little piece of sheet metal in there and see how that holds. And then that'll be set. Over here, I did this welding before I ran out of the Stargon gas with the MIG welder. And here I'm going to clean this up with a vinegar water mix and some steel wool to kind of get any loose rust off of there. And then I'm going to spray it with some self-etching primer, canned paint, to protect it. And I'm going to do the same thing on all these rockers right here. Actually, I'm not going to put the paint on the rockers. I might even Bondo this stuff first with a polyester Bondo, and then throw the paint on. You can't Bondo on top of self-etching primer, they say. And so I'll see what I can do. I just fabricated all those parts and welded them in. It looks ugly, but you know, it's got structure again. And I got to get this car on the road so I can get more Stargon and get more brazing rods. Okay, that's it so far.